Timeline of Andrew's scandals, from fresh Epstein bombshell to losing his Prince title. Welcome back to Crown Chronicles, your home for the deepest royal investigations, the boldest revelations, and the most captivating stories from behind palace walls. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a single royal twist, turn, or truth. Today's story is one of the most shocking, tangled, and consequential in modern royal history, a timeline of how Prince Andrew went from a respected member of the monarchy to a man stripped of his titles, his duties, and even his right to call himself prince. And trust me, you'll want to stay with me until the last second, because the final chapters of this story are more explosive than anything we've seen before. The downfall of Prince Andrew didn't happen overnight. It was a slow unraveling, years in the making, filled with red flags, questionable friendships, failed decisions, and ultimately, consequences that would shake the foundations of the royal family. To understand how Andrew went from the Queen's reportedly favorite son to a sidelined royal with no future inside the monarchy, we need to go back to the beginning. Long before the world connected his name to Jeffrey Epstein, decades ago, Andrew was known as the Action Prince, a helicopter pilot during the Falklands War. A charismatic representative of the crown, and a figure the public generally viewed with respect. But even in those early years, those close to the palace whispered about Andrew's extravagant lifestyle, his lavish spending, and friendships that raised eyebrows more than once. However, under the protective umbrella of the monarchy, the concerns never exploded. They simmered quietly, until one friendship in particular changed everything. It was the early 2000s when Andrew's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein became visible to the public eye. Epstein, already a controversial figure, was known for his wealth, power, and mysterious circle. At first, the friendship didn't trigger major alarms. Andrew had always moved in elite circles. But when Epstein was arrested in 2008 for sex offenses involving minors, everything began to shift. The scandal was enormous. Epstein's network was under scrutiny. And yet, in 2010, when Epstein was already a convicted sex offender, Andrew remained associated with him. Photographs captured them walking side by side in Central Park, a moment that would haunt Andrew forever. Inside the palace, officials were horrified. Advisors urged Andrew to cut ties immediately, but he insisted on handling things his own way. His decision to stay connected to Epstein wasn't just a mistake, it became a defining moment, a turning point. Many believe this was the moment the timeline of Andrew's downfall truly began. Fast forward to 2015, when Virginia Giuffre publicly accused Epstein and accused Andrew of sexual abuse when she was a minor. Andrew strongly denied the allegations, but the story caught like wildfire. The palace maintained its standard no-comment stance, but behind the scenes, panic was building. The Queen was reportedly torn, wanting to protect her son but recognizing the storm gathering outside palace walls. For a few years, the scandal circled quietly, mentioned but not dominating the headlines. But everything changed in 2019 when Epstein was arrested again, this time on federal sex trafficking charges. The world's attention snapped back to his network, his associates, and yes, to Prince Andrew. Epstein's sudden death later that year only intensified the spotlight. The public wanted answers, and Andrew's name was everywhere. Then came the moment that marked the point of no return, the now infamous BBC Newsnight interview. Andrew believed he could clear his name. Advisors hesitated. Some tried to stop him. But Andrew insisted. And when the cameras started rolling, everything went wrong. His explanations, his tone, his strange references, like not being able to sweat or choosing Pizza Express, became instantly viral and widely ridiculed. The interview wasn't just a misstep, it was a catastrophic implosion of public trust. Within days, Andrew announced he was stepping back from royal duties for the foreseeable future. Charities cut ties. Public outrage escalated. Insiders later revealed that even the Queen, for whom Andrew had always been the favored child, realized the severity of the situation. She reportedly summoned Andrew to Windsor, where a painful decision was made: he would retreat from public life. But the timeline didn't stop there. The legal pressure continued to mount. In 2021, Virginia Giuffre filed a civil lawsuit in the United States. Andrew's lawyers argued, negotiated, and attempted to dismiss the case, but the pressure kept intensifying. Prince Charles and Prince William, both determined to protect the future of the monarchy, reportedly pressed for firmer action. Behind the scenes, the family was divided, tensions rising, reputations on the line. Then, in January 2022, the monarchy took one of the most dramatic and historic steps in modern history. Buckingham Palace issued a statement announcing that Andrew would be stripped of his military titles and royal patronages. And more strikingly, he could no longer use the style, His Royal Highness. For all public purposes, Andrew was no longer a prince. This was a moment of seismic significance. A son of the Queen, once one of the most visible figures in the monarchy, was now completely removed from royal life. Insiders claim the decision was heartbreaking for the Queen, but she agreed it was necessary. The monarchy had to draw a line. Andrew later reached a settlement with Virginia Giuffre, without admission of guilt, but by then, the damage was irreversible. His reputation was shattered. His royal career was over. And despite occasional attempts to reappear quietly, the public reaction has remained overwhelmingly negative, but here's where the story takes a fresh turn. In recent months, whispers inside the palace suggest that the fallout is far from over. New details, new associations, and new bombshells connected to Epstein's network continue to surface. And every time a fresh revelation emerges, Andrew's name is pulled back into the headlines, preventing any hope of rehabilitation. Today, Andrew lives a largely secluded life at Royal Lodge. Occasionally spotted on the Windsor estate but very much outside the royal spotlight. The king is determined to protect the monarchy's modern image, and any return for Andrew is considered impossible. So how did a prince go from war hero and royal representative to one of the most controversial figures in the monarchy's history? This timeline tells a story of ignored warnings, disastrous decisions, damaging loyalties, and a scandal that grew too massive to contain. And as the Epstein network continues to unravel, the question remains, is this the end of Andrew's timeline? Or will more revelations force yet another chapter? If you enjoyed this deep dive into royal history's most dramatic downfall, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to Crown Chronicles. We bring you the stories the palace would rather keep quiet, and trust me, the royal world is full of secrets still waiting to be uncovered. Stay tuned. The truth behind the crown is always more extraordinary than anything imagined.